Hello everyone, JK Origami here, and today I'm going to teach you how to fold my origami flower. This here I designed recently. Mother's Day is coming up, and so this is a one-sheet flower folded from a 15 by 15 centimeter square of two-sided foil that has stem, a couple of small leaves, and flower. I think this design is very nice. It turned out well. I'm very happy with the way the color changes worked out, as it's almost flawless. And I think it's an improvement over my Trillium, which was my first design where I tried to create a flower and stem. So anyway, 15 by 15 centimeter paper should be big enough to fold this. And again, I would recommend paper that's green on one side and either pink or purple or even white on the other. So to teach you how to fold this, I am going to use a 25 by 25 centimeter square of just kami paper. And for this flower, there are a few tricky folds, but it's generally an intermediate design. So without further ado, let's begin. So for my flower, I'm going to have the bluish purple side be my petal color for the flower, and I'm going to have the white side of this paper be my stem, so the green. So we are going to start with the petal side up. So the color you want the flower to be, we're going to start with that side up. And we're going to fold along the diagonals. Now once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and flip the paper over first, and then we're going to fold this corner to the center. Now we're going to rotate 180 degrees and repeat with the second corner. Now we're going to flip the paper, flip the paper over, and now I'm going to bring this edge here to the center. Now we're going to go ahead, turn the paper over, unfold, and we're going to reverse this crease. We want to make sure that it's very strong. And now we can fold this flap, back over along the existing crease. Just like that. Now we're going to bring this top corner down to that point. Just like that. And then crease sharply throughout. And then we can fold back along the existing crease. Just like that. Now, we're going to rotate, and now we're going to bring this point here right up to this intersection point there. So it's going to look something like that. Now, we're going to go ahead and flip the paper over, like that. And now we're going to bring this corner and that corner to intersect with that point and that point. And we're making a fold from this point to this point. So it looks like this. We're going to fold up, and I'm going to bring my two corners. One goes to that point, the other goes right up to that point. And then we're going to make a crease, and it starts from that intersection and goes over to this intersection right here. And we're going to crease sharply throughout. creasing sharply throughout just like this. And looks like that. Now we're going to unfold this layer a little bit, and now we're going to make a mountain fold along the existing crease. And crease sharply through all layers, just like that. Now we're going to go ahead, unfold, and we're going to reverse those creases. So I'm going to fold this layer down. And now I'm going to fold along this crease, reversing it. And we're just doing this to make sure the creases go in both directions, which will be used later on in the design. And crease sharply. Now, this part up here, this square, will become the flower, and this bottom part here will become the stem. So we're going to do a bit of work on the flower. So since we have this square here that we folded, we're going to fold the diagonals, and we're going to fold, we already have this half, but we're going to fold this half. So I'll start with the diagonals. So we're just as if we were starting with a flat square, we're folding the diagonals, creasing sharply throughout. And then we can unfold, and we're going to fold these diagonals, or the other diagonal rather. Just like that. And now we can unfold, and I'm going to fold the half just by bringing this top edge down to this edge. Like that. Now we can unfold. And so this is the basis for the flower, like I said. So now we're going to rotate the paper, and we're going to make a fold going from this point to this intersection here by bringing this edge to the center. And this point to that point. So when we crease, looks something like that, and I'm going to just crease sharply. And we can unfold. And now we're going to repeat with this layer. So I'm just folding it right to the center, like that. Whoops. And be careful that doesn't happen. When I was creasing, I just grabbed the layer and pulled it a little bit. I'm going to correct that, and continue my crease. Just like that. And now we're going to unfold this just a little bit. And you can see that we have these creases on the flower and the stem. So now our next step is going to be, we're going to reverse fold these creases. So I'm folding a valley fold, and I'm turning this into a mountain fold. So this is going to be a valley, so I'm just going to reverse it. And then this one up here is already a valley fold, and this one's going to be a mountain fold. So I'm just going to make the crease just like that. Just like that. Now we're going to repeat on this side, so we're just reversing the creases and folding the flap inside. So it looks something like that. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to unfold, and we're going to leave the model like this so we can have the flower folded down. And now we're going to make a few pre-creases. So we're going to fold only this top layer here, and we're going to divide this half into quarters, but only up to this line. So the way you do that is bring this edge to the center, and doing this divides it into half, and we're only going to crease up to there, up to this diagonal. And now we're going to divide each of those into halves by folding edge to crease. So I folded my edge to there, and I'm going to bring this crease line to the center. Or a different way you can do it, which I'll show you now, is we're going to do the same thing on this side. So bring this edge to the center. And again, I'm only folding through this top layer. I'm leaving this layer here undisturbed. And now I'm going to fold again my quarter. Now to get the inner creases, I'm going to bring this raw edge, or not raw edge, but this edge, and fold it to this crease right there. And again, the model starts to become a bit 3D as you do this, but you're only going to crease up until you reach the diagonal right there. And now we're going to rotate and repeat. So I'm bringing this edge to this crease right there. And I'm only going to crease up until I hit the diagonal. So, just like that. Now, we can go ahead and flip the model over, and we're going to do one more pre-crease, or actually a couple more. So you can see how we have our quarters. We have the first crease, the second crease, and the third crease. This third crease is the one we want. We're going to bring this edge to that crease, folding through the top layer. So, just gotta line it up nicely, and then you can crease throughout. Like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to unfold. Now we're going to repeat on this side. Just like that. And then I'm going to crease sharply. And now I can unfold. So now that we have those pre-creases done, we're going to recollapse this water bomb base fold that we've done here. And now we're going to do some work again on the flower. So I'm going to start by kind of opening up this side. I'm going to bring this point up to this point. Just like that. Now I'm going to unfold. And I'm going to make a rabbit ear fold. Well, not quite a rabbit ear fold, but the angle bisectors by aligning this crease with this edge and this edge at the same time. And to do that, I gotta close the model. So I'm pulling the layer up, and I'll look at it from behind. And you can see this crease, I want to fold it up to here. Just like that. And at the same time, I'm doing the same thing on the back. And it should naturally come together. And you'll notice if you do it correctly, your edge should line up with the edge of the flower behind it. And then we can crease throughout. And it looks kind of like that. And now we're going to fold this edge inside up along those same creases. So I'm just folding it over the existing crease. And we can crease sharply. And when we look, it looks something like that. So now we'll repeat that with the other side. So I'm folding the point up. Now I'm going to align my edges. Edge with crease. And then I'm going to finally fold this next flap up over the existing crease. Just like that. And we can flatten. And it looks like that. Now, we're going to make a few folds for the flower. So we're going to take this edge and fold it up as far as it'll go. So I'm just folding up, and this top point here will lie on the diagonal crease we've already made. And so it's going to look something like this. And we're going to crease through the layers, and we can unfold. Now we're going to repeat with this layer, and we should get a symmetric crease. And we want to crease through all layers. So now I'm going to unfold, and you can see we have these two lines that intersect on this vertical line. Now I'm going to rotate 180 degrees, and now we're going to do the same thing with these two flaps, but we're going to use where this crease intersects the middle crease as reference. So I'm going to make a fold going perpendicular to this fold, and the way we'll do that is we'll make a fold going through this intersection, but with this point lying on the diagonal line. So I'm folding it over, and I'm going to find the intersection, which is right there. And now I'm going to make sure it's properly centered, which it is, and then I'm going to crease sharply throughout. Like that. You can see it goes right through that intersection point. Now I'm going to rotate again, and I'm going to do the same thing connecting this intersection point with that intersection point. And so this time I'm going to look at it from behind because it's a little bit easier. But you can see crease sharply throughout. Looks something like that. So now we can go ahead and we can actually fold up the face of the flower just to get its shape started. But before we do that, we're going to actually fold this flap down along the existing crease. Just like that. And we're just going to do it with one. Actually, I'm going to unfold and do it with the other just so we get the crease going in the right direction, because we're going to have to eventually do these folds. But for now, we'll just do it like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fold up this edge, and fold up this edge at the same time on the existing creases, and you'll notice this part here, the creases also want to form, so we're going to push this flap inside, like that, forming all on existing creases. And then when we bring them together, we'll have this little piece inside that'll come together. And now we're going to do the same thing over here. Same thing over here. And we have to do the same thing between these two. And then once we have all that going, we can bring together the entire flower head. And it looks something like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to unfold. And now that we've done that, we're going to fold up this layer. And now we can bring down this crease, or this paper rather, along the existing crease. Now we're going to align this edge with that edge. So I'm folding it like this. And this is just to color change the paper. And now I'm going to fold this point over so that when I fold it over, I'm basically creating the raw edge in line with this fold. So, looks something like that. And actually, this point should go to the end of this crease, to that point. So it looks something like that. Now we can go ahead and fold this back down. Now I'm going to repeat on the other side. So I'm folding this down, then I'm folding this layer up, and then I'm folding the raw edge over just to change the color. Like that. And we can fold everything back down. Now once again, we're going to put the flower together. And if you did it correctly the first time, the creases should be a little worn in and thus come together easier. So you just want to have it in the general shape. And now we're going to flip the model over. And we're going to push in the bottom. We're making a water bomb base with the middle. So we're going to make the diagonals be mountain folds. And these creases going across being mountain folds. So we're bringing it together. We're pushing the center down, and you'll notice it's starting to come together into what is essentially a water bomb base. And once I do that, you'll notice that this part of the paper won't lie flat, so we're actually going to go ahead and also, with this center here, we're going to form a crease going basically where this would be. So you can see how we have the edge coming like this and like this. We want to form a crease, pulling it down, and it'll form naturally on its own. As you can see, we're just basically extending the existing crease on the layers above it, but going the opposite direction. This is probably the trickiest part. So we're just like, kind of like that. And it doesn't really matter if this is a little bit off, but as you can see, when we're doing that, this paper is starting to fold, to form a valley fold along the center crease, and we want to allow that to happen. And we want this point to come inside, and we want the rest of these points to form together and flatten. So now it looks like this. And the layers behind, we want to make sure they're not forming any unwanted creases, and it looks like that. So now that we have this flower, we're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of open up this top part with this part here, and notice how we have the crease going on this inner layer, and the same crease, or the complementary crease on this other layer. So we're going to do a fold where we basically bring the crease to this crease, and we're going to do that by opening it up on both sides at the same time, pressing right by that crease and bringing it together. We're flattening like that. It's a little bit tough to show, but you can see how it started out like this, and we've made a crease bisecting this angle, and we're pushing the flower down like that. And at this point, the model won't lie flat anymore. You can see how it's like that. And so this fold can get a little bit tricky with a smaller paper that you're starting with, but it should be okay. And so now we notice we can unfold the center crease and pull the flower down, and the only part that won't lie flat is this and this. It'll kind of be stretched out. But this is the basic idea for the flower. So once you've made that fold, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a couple more steps here. To do this, we have to unfold this top flap of paper and this other flap of paper, and we have to pull down this other layer, and the same thing on this side. We're going to pull down this layer, and we want to get it a little bit flattened, because now we're going to fold along these creases. And so what we're going to do is we're going to fold along the first crease, make it a valley fold, and we have to pull this layer out a little bit. And don't worry, we're going to make sure it lies flat a little bit later. We're pulling this over, and the crease goes right up to the diagonal line, so it should go right to the top. It's tough to show inside, but you kind of get the idea. And now on the inside, you can see how the crease goes right up, so it goes right up to here, essentially, right up to the top. And so then what we're going to do is from there, you see how we have this existing crease on the layer we folded down, and we're going to make a fold from the very tip of that crease all the way to the inside where this fold intersects the very top. And so it's a little bit tricky to do, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it looks something like that. I think you can see well enough. And again, we're only doing this with just this top flap. Now we're going to fold backward along the next crease, making it a valley fold from our perspective. And again, this fold will go in up to this diagonal line, and then we're going to make a fold connecting the intersection with the very tip of this crease. Just like that. And finally, we're going to bring this edge back inside along the existing crease, just like that. And now we're going to once again find the intersection point and make a crease connecting it to that very tip. And once you've done this, you notice that the stem is very thin, and all the paper comes to this point. And we're going to leave it like that for now. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So again, unfold the layer, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit, not quite emphasizing the step as much, just because it is a little bit tricky to show. But again, we're folding it in as far as it'll go for the first one, and then making a crease connecting that the very tip of this point all the way to the inside where the crease ends. And then fold back out along that next crease, like that. And then fold back in, or sorry, we have to first make the crease connecting it to the very tip, like so. And then finally fold this last bit in once more and create your crease. So now we have something like this that doesn't want to lie flat. But now we're going to push this layer back over along the existing crease. So I'm going to pull it together a little bit and kind of nudge it down so that it flattens a little bit. And now I'm going to basically hold these parts together, these creases that we formed, and fold this edge back over along the existing creases. And this will force the design to come together, and you can flatten it on this side. It'll go flat, or mostly flat anyway. And do the same thing on this side. So I'm holding these, and I'm folding them down, the layers along the existing crease, like that. And this locks the folds into place. And it looks like it's really unchanged from behind. We just change this spot. So now once you've done that, we can go ahead and fold this edge back over top to hide what we've just done, to hide the work that we've just done. And again, this part here won't lie flat because we made these folds to hold it down. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just folding this over along the existing creases. So now it looks something like this. And now what we're going to do is on the back here, we have to almost unfold a little bit what we've already done. And notice how we have this diagonal crease going. So now's the time where we're going to fold it, make it a mountain fold. And then we're going to fold the layers back down along the creases we've already made. So I'm folding this up. And what I got to do is I'm going to make a crease from this point all the way to this tip here. Like that. And so now I'm going to squash this flat along the paper. And now I'm going to fold this crease here as a valley fold, this first one. So I'm just creasing through the new layers. And then comes a mountain fold. And it'll come together. Now this part here in the front, we have to do a little more work on. So if you make actually this inner fold first, then we're going to make a crease from that intersection to the tip. Like that. And then we're going to bring this edge back up from where it intersects the next parallel line. Just like that. And then the whole thing should lie flat. Now we've got to repeat this on the other side. So we're unfolding a few of the layers, folding in along the crease that we've already made, bringing it to the tip, or connecting it to the tip, I should say. Then, looking at it back from this side, we're going to fold the layers where they belong. So this one goes in behind. And if we start with this very last fold, then we can make our next fold connecting the two intersection points, and then fold the layer up so that everything lies flat. Just like that. And it should be fairly symmetrical on both sides depending how precise the folds were. It should look something like that. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and fold along this center crease here, bringing the sides together. And there's many layers, so it may not go all that easily, but it doesn't really matter too much. It looks something like that. And on the back here, we've got to flatten a little bit, make a transition from this part here to the flat part. So if you look on the finished ones here, you can see how there's that dip And we're trying to make the same thing here. With the kami, it's a little bit difficult to show, but it should almost arise naturally. So it looks something like that. Now, we're going to go ahead and take this layer here, and we're going to fold it up just a little bit, and the model won't lie flat, so I'm just folding it up to hide the color change. And the same thing on this side, just folding it up a little. So it looks something like that. And I'm also going to make a fold along the existing edge there, and then fold the leaf back down so that it aligns with the center almost, making sure that this part here stays folded. And then I'm going to shape the leaf a little bit, so I'm going to fold a little bit of paper behind. So it looks something like that. And you can even go as far as folding this layer behind if you want to. I personally prefer it forward, but it's just my taste. And we can do the same thing here. So just folding this edge back a little bit, and then folding it actually over like that. And we can shape it a bit. And again, this part is to taste, and you can experiment with it and see how it turns out. So it looks something like that. And with really good paper, this part here you can almost push together, so you could even wet fold it. And now we're going to go ahead and actually fold this in half one more time to thin it out, if your paper is able to do that. So this just makes the stem a little bit thinner and more round. And my paper, again, is not the best for this, but you can see the general effect we're going for. And so now the final step is we're going to deal with the flower. And we're going to open it up a little bit. And you can see how, actually I have to close it up a little bit just to show you what we're getting at. But you can see how we have this here, which if I press it flat, it forms a line on the flower petal. So what we're going to do is make a crease right along that line, making a mountain fold and folding the petal out. So I'm going to first make my crease. So I have to open it up and kind of hold it shut at the same time. It's a bit difficult to show, but I'm going to make my crease right to the center line and repeat on the other side at the same time. So I'm trying to fold it so that it lies right on top of this other layer. And so now you can see my petal is folded outward like that. And now we have to repeat with the other three. Now the two at the top of the flower are the easiest to do, just because that their geometry lies completely flat. So I'll do the second one here, and then we'll do the other ones. So it looks like that. And now for this one, you sort of have to make a crease going through this layer at a bit of a different angle, just because it's 3D. And it usually comes out fairly well on its own, although it is a little bit tricky. So it looks something like that. And doing it through the left side is not very difficult. Like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, you just want it to look similar. And we're going to repeat with the final side. And so this gives you your petals. And then from here, it's just organizing the layers so that the petals look nice. And also, you want to make sure the center stays together, so you can actually make a couple folds with this part here, just folding the paper up a little bit to lock it into place. And with this paper, it's a little tricky to do, just because it's getting thick and it doesn't want to stay put. But with a better paper like the one I folded the prototypes from, that I showed on the beginning of the video, and I'll show again in a moment, it looks much better. So the final thing you can do is with this middle portion, you can pull it flat, or start to flatten it a little bit to give it a bit more shape. Something like that. And there you go. So with this one, you could wet fold it, shape it a little bit better, or you could use the foil paper like I did, and it turned out quite nice. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you were able to fold it. Please leave a like, comment down below what you'd like me to fold next, and as always, enjoy!